Shalom, shalom. First and foremost, want to give all praise, glory, honor due unto Yahawah, Bahashem, Yahweh Shah, Bahashem, Ruhakadash. Double honors to the apostles, elders, and prophets. And every respect to the brothers teaching and preaching the truth all over the globe worldwide. And to the few Aquas that are listening and learning to you, I give a sincere shalom. Basically, title of this lesson, we're going to go into the UFOs, which the world call unidentified flying objects, but we call them IFOs, which are identified flying objects, which are called as chariots. They got different names for the chariots. They got the chariots. They got the horse buggy with fire. They got the clouds, and they got whirlwind. And the reason why we doing this lesson, through the power of Spirit, Yahawah Shem Shah, is simply because that shows you that the Most High, He patrols the vehicles, and how do they patrol? They patrol in chariots, and what the chariots do? The chariots gonna be the deliverance of the elect of Israel, but also it's gonna be the destruction and the downfall, of Esau Edom, his kingdom. And then also the chariots goes and they start catastrophe events, as well as they report back to the Most High Yahawah Shem Shah, because the scriptures say it's in the Apocrypha that the eyes of Yahweh is 10,000 times brighter. And what it's talking about, his eyes are 10,000 times brighter. It's talking about the angels which patrol in the chariots. What they do, they report events, everything, and they record it, back up to the Most High to keep the Most High informed on what's going on. You see, and also, it shows undeniable evidence that the chariots do exist. They call it UFOs. And one headline that I stumbled across yesterday, was on YouTube. It was a Yahoo that the guy went into the 2004 article, about the Navy on the USS Nimitz. That the pilot, he was doing a flight and he seen the chariots, doing his flight. He was describing the chariots and he basically said that, they look like, basically like I don't want to butcher. I think he said it was like a huge tit tat, and you couldn't even hear them flying. You couldn't. They went down into the ocean and then they came back up 28,000 feet, and you couldn't even hear it. And you like they could go here, and there in less than a second. Even though that's miles away, he said they can go from here to there in less than a second. And it shows you right there that the proof is in the pudding about the chariots, man, and what the chariots do. And I'm gonna bring out, some scriptures about the chariots. And one of the scriptures, talks about, I'm just gonna go briefly into it. Talk about Elijah and Elisha. When Elijah was gonna get taken up, in the chariot. And what happened, they was there walking and talking, but they call it was a horse of fire. Had the party, separated Elijah and Elisha, and then Elijah ended up being up in the chariot, and he was taken away. And then the scripture said Elisha rent his clothing too, and because of that great and fearful sight that he seen, that the chariot came by and took away Elijah. You see, the chariots do exist, and they exist back in the Old Testament. You see, and one scripture that I'm going to bring out is Psalms 103rd chapter. I'm going to go ahead and start at the first verse. It reads, "Blessed be Yahawah, O my soul, O Yahawah, my power. Thou art very great. Thou art clothed with honor and majesty, who covered thyself with delight as with a garment, who stretcheth out the heavens like a curtain. And the point is in verse 3. It reads, who led the beams of his chambers in the waters, who maketh the clouds his chariot, who walketh upon the wings of the wind. And when it's talking about making the clouds a chariot, not talking about the white fluffy clouds out there that pours out rain, precipitation, and snow and all that stuff. It's not talking about that. It's talking about the actual chariots, the actual vehicle. And you go, I believe it in the book of Ezekiel, chapter 3. You have time, you can read that for yourself. Because the book of Ezekiel, chapter 3, let me see if I can get it real quick. It goes into the chariots. Slock for that. I believe it's Ezekiel, the first chapter. Slock for that. If you read the first chapter, all of the first chapter, it goes into how the chariots look like. I'm just gonna get one verse. That's gonna be verse 4. But I encourage you to read Ezekiel chapter 1, and it gives you a description of the chariots. Listen up closely. Ezekiel chapter 1 verse 4. It reads, and I looked, and behold, a whirlwind came out of the north, a great cloud, and a fire enfolded itself, and a brightness was about it, and out of the midst thereof as a color of amber, and out of the midst of the fire. And they're talking about the chariot. The chariots, like I said before, they call whirlwinds, and they got called a great cloud. And they talking about, you said a fire enfolding itself. It's talking about the different colors. Of the chariot. Chariots have different colors. They have an amber color, they have a green color. They have all different types of colors, of a chariot. You see, it shows that the chariots do exist. You see, and one thing, and people don't understand about the chariots. They, especially in the Christian religion, per se, they say that when they leave, they're gonna just float up in the clouds, but that's not the case, because Elijah, he got beamed up in the chariot, man, what they call a horse of fire. Well, I'm gonna give you another account when Yahawah, he got taken up, and it's the book of Acts chapter 1, starting at the 8th, I believe around the 8th verse. Let me get it real quick. One moment. Book of Acts chapter 1, and it's at verse 9. They'll get straight to the point. It reads, and we had spoken these things while they beheld him. He was taken up, and a cloud received him out of their sight. That makes it very plain right here. I'm going to read that again. It reads, and when he had spoken these things while they beheld, he was taken up, and a cloud received him out of their sight. And that shows you he was taken up. He did not just float up, because if he just floated up, the scripture say he just floated up out of sight. But no, the scripture say he was taken up. How he was taken up? He was taken up in a chariot. He was taken up in a chariot, but they called it a cloud. But it's still describing the chariot. Like I said before, the chariot is called a cloud. It's called a horse of fire. It's called a whirlwind. For those who are ignorant, they call them UFOs, identified flying objects. But we know they're the chariots. They disguise themselves as the clouds, you see. But continuing on, it said, while they looked steadfastly toward heaven as he went up, as he got beamed up in the chariot, it said, behold, 2 white men stood by them in white apparel. Which also said, ye men of Galilee, why stand ye gazing up into heaven? This same Yahawah, which is taken up from you into heaven, shall so come in like manner as ye see him go into heaven. That means that when Yahawah shall return back, he take down Esau Edom. He's going the same way that our forefathers see him, got beamed up in the chariot. He's gonna come back in a great big chariot. I believe that I believe it's in the book of I believe it's out of First and Second Ezra described that the chariot, it was like a big old mountain pretty much. That he's gonna come back in a very huge chariot. You see, that he's gonna come back in a huge chariot. He described his chariot like a mountain, but when he comes back, he's gonna come back in a huge chariot. You see, he's gonna come back. He's gonna save the elect of Israel, and he's gonna take down Esau Edom's kingdom, and he's gonna destroy those that fought against Israel. You can read that in Zechariah 14 and 12. Even though it's talked about the nuclear missiles, but at the same time, but we know that Yahawah is gonna come back. It said in Isaiah chapter 63, he's gonna come back and he's gonna take down Esau's kingdom. You see, and that shows you that the chariots do exist. The chariots are going to deliver the elect of Israel, but it's going to destroy, the kingdom of Esau, and it's going to take down these other nations. He's going to do that in a chariot. Him and the angelic host of angels, they're going to come back in a chariot. But like I said, the chariots, they do exist. You see, they exist, and the Most High patrols. The angels patrol in a chariot, man. It was an account that when Yahawah and the apostles, the 12 apostles are the disciples. They was on the Mount of Transfiguration. Yahawah transfigured himself before them. The scripture goes on, after Peter spoke, the scripture goes on and said that, there was a cloud was, overshadowed where they was at. And the voice came out of the cloud, said, "This is my beloved son, in whom I am well pleased, hear ye him." In that cloud right there, Yahawah, he came by in the chariot. He came by in a chariot. And, Most High, they travel in vehicles, man. They travel in chariots. Just like we travel in vehicles to get to our destination, to and from work, or we travel on bus or train. We travel in vehicles. The Most High travel vehicles. The Most High was the one that gave Esau the technology to make the vehicle. He gave our people technology. He gave the technology to make the vehicles. If he gave the technology to make the vehicles, the airplanes, and all this other stuff, well, you don't think that the Most High had wisdom and knowledge to have greater technology? Just like he gave them, he gave Esau the wisdom to make airplanes and things like that. You don't think he had greater technology than that? He has the chariot. And the chariot can go up and down, back and forth. As it said in Ezekiel, they could when their head turn, the chariot follow where their head turn. Roughly paraphrased. These chariots exist. They exist, and they've been showing themselves time and time again. Like I said before, they even showed up in Iran. One chariot showed up in Iran while it was protesting. And then it was an article, I think it was a month ago on CNN about the chariot. I believe it was in Chicago, and they